Everyone, this is your video that goes along with your pro-con analysis for analyzing the conclusions and the issues in our pro-con this semester, as well as identifying the weaknesses. As we've done before, one of the things you're going to want to do is watch this video, put me on 2x speed if it helps, enable the captions. And what you're going to do is for each respondent, you're going to identify the issue and the conclusion each offers. We kind of already know it, but I want to talk a little bit more about it. Whether or not the issue and conclusions are explicit or implicit. Remember, implicitity is a weakness. And then we're also going to indicate if the issue and conclusions are either descriptive as a pair or prescriptive as a pair. And then finally, we'll indicate if there's any key term ambiguities or if there's implicit issues or a mismatch. Now, for the key term ambiguities, you're not required to offer any kind of definition at this point, but I want you to be able to identify them. We could take a look here at Jen's. You can see she just has her table out here. She identified the explicit issue. All pro-cons have the explicit issue at the top. She put them in quotes. And in this case, her pro had an explicit conclusion, her con did not, so you can see one's in quotes, one is not. She identified them as a pair as descriptive. Then she identified the key terms and that there were no weaknesses of implicitity or a mismatch. And here she did the key terms. She does indicate her con doesn't have an explicit conclusion and that there's no mismatch. So remember, you can do the same thing. You can just set up your little table like this, and you can have this open in one tab, the YouTube video open another tab, pause and play, and type in your information. So let's go ahead then and go to the issue, the add issue. Again, I'm going to use the Google Docs versus the PDF, which I will use the PDF as your answer sheet, but I think it's easier to navigate like this. Okay, so this is the discussion of the conclusion and issues in our pro-con and the weaknesses in our pro-con. So if we go to page 33 in the full report, if we go to page 33, you're going to see there is our question right there, our issue. And this is from the author of the report, which we identified, is it Sandra Larson? I forget, I'm sorry. It's not coming to mind. And then you can see below it is Devin's response and Alex's response. So what I did to make it easy for you guys is I simply downloaded everything into this easy Google Doc so you can navigate it a lot more efficiently than having to open up the PDF of the report. So the issue right here, are camping bans an effective strategy to address homelessness, is right at the top of page 33. So what we would say is, for sure, this is the issue. It's printed at the top of page 33. So that means it's explicit. That's good. And notice it in terms of identifying the issue and the conclusion as pairs. We can look at this question and notice the question or the issue is asking about the accuracy of the information. So are they effective? It's not asking, should we do them? I know it's implicit within both response, we should or should not do them, but that's not what the two individuals are arguing. They're arguing whether or not the bans themselves are effective. So this is a descriptive question, so we would expect a descriptive answer to that question. We also want to look at the question for possible key term ambiguity. So the first one, this phrase camping ban. So as we've analyzed both Devin and Alex's responses, you've noticed that we're not really sure what is meant by camping ban. Is it only putting these into effect when there's extreme or inclement weather? Does a camping ban mean arresting or jailing individuals who are camping in public? Does it mean taking individuals in and sheltering them? We're unsure what that term actually means and what Devin or Alec might mean by it. The next ambiguity, key term ambiguity, is this phrase effective strategy. So we would want to know how effectiveness is measured. Is it, for example, measured by the number of lives that could be saved from extreme weather? Is it the number of homeless individuals rounded up, whatever that means, jailed, sheltered? Is it the number of people provided housing and sheltering? So we're not sure what effective means. And finally, we have the key term ambiguity of homelessness. Did I spell that right? Homelessness. Why does it look like I have too many S's? Oh well. Um, so that's a that's a pretty big term because we're not sure if it indicates only individuals who are living outside of shelters, or does it also include those individuals who are outside of shelters and in shelters? Does it exclude those people who panhandle to support themselves, yet they have a shelter to go to, whether it's a friend's couch or a homeless shelter? We don't know. So we have three key term ambiguities that both Devin and Alec should deal with in their arguments. And you're going to see that they're really not dealt with. Neither of the individuals deal with what they mean by these terms. They allude to it, they imply it, but they don't really give good definitions. Keep in mind, when you write your final paper for the semester, you're going to want to tell your reader, this is what I mean by a camping ban, this is what I mean by effective, this is what I mean by homelessness. You're in control of those definitions, so it will shape the way that you answer the question. All right, so we have the issue identified, it's explicit. We have it defined as a descriptive issue, and we have the three key term ambiguities that are embedded in the issue, which are also then embedded in both individuals' conclusions. So now we want to move on and we want to talk about their conclusions. We already know that Devin is saying, you notice, and I put this here, this is my paraphrase of what he's saying. He's saying, yes, they are effective. But does he have an explicit statement? He does. In fact, it's right here in his first paragraph. For the question, are camping bans an effective strategy to address homelessness? He says, camping bans are essential to a community's effective response to homelessness. So that is his explicit answer. It's not a perfect fit, but it's pretty close. So that is his conclusion. So we would say that he uses some of the key terms, the camping bans, effective, and homelessness. And it's also explicit, so this is a strength. Now, sadly, he doesn't really define for us what he means specifically by camping bans, what they entail, what he means by effectiveness, although, he alludes, we've talked about his reasoning. We want to save lives by keeping people off the streets or the parks when there's inclement weather, but we're not really sure what he means by any of those terms. And then quickly we'll move on down here. We'll come down to Alec. Now, Alec, nowhere in his paragraphs does he actually say, no, they are not effective. So again, at the top of his response, I had given you my paraphrase. He's implying, no, camping bans are not an effective strategy to homelessness. There's nowhere in the paragraphs here that he actually says that. It's all implied, so it's implicit. So this is a huge weakness. Now, if I were to take this away and I would just give you Alec's response without the issue, even without the issue at the top, and you read that, you would come away going, yeah, he's kind of against something called camping bans, right? But you wouldn't really know if he was arguing whether or not they're effective or whether or not they should or should not be implemented or any of that kind of stuff, or whether or not he's arguing what is a solution to the problem of homelessness. So because it's implicit and because it doesn't have, even within his text, the explicit issue, that's going to be a weakness. There wouldn't really be a mismatch, I would say, because even though it's implicit and it's within the pro-con document in the CQ researcher, we would say he is addressing, notice it's written for the CQ researcher, he is addressing the question that was asked of him. So that is your pro-con analysis for the conclusion, the issues and conclusion, and the potential weaknesses. We only have one more of these to do, and then we'll be wrapped up with the analysis for the semester.